One of the most important RPGs to ever grace the Nintendo platform from a third-party company is coming out this year on the Nintendo Switch, and we definitely need to talk about it. But before we get into that and a bit more news on Xenoblade, what's good everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first. Now let's go ahead and first jump into the most important Nintendo Switch third-party RPG to hit the platform in quite some time, and that is Persona 5 Royal. Now, yes, I've been known to troll just a little bit when it comes to some of the hardcore PlayStation Persona fans, just because I felt, and I also got information, that Persona would eventually come to a Nintendo platform, that there was no actual PlayStation exclusivity deal or anything, and if there was one, it's long gone at this point, or it's irrelevant. There hasn't been any proof. That was an opinion that got me in a lot of trouble with certain people, but I did truly feel that it was right, and I think that we can say right now at this point, then yeah, I was completely right about that. And also, not just myself, other people as well saying the same thing. Now, Persona is now coming to all platforms here. It's going to be on PlayStation 5, it's going to be on Xbox One, Xbox Series, it's going to be on the Nintendo Switch this October with physical editions as well. Persona 5 Royal with the actual all Royal content. For the first time ever, you're going to be able to play it portably native on a system with the Nintendo Switch, which is a massive deal, especially in Japan. This is something that Japanese gamers, this is something that gamers here have been asking for quite some time, because Persona games fit really well with the portable nature, which is exactly the reason why Persona 3 Portable and also Persona 4 Golden are so much fun on their respective systems with the PSP and also with the PlayStation Vita, but now we actually have it in HD with the Nintendo Switch. So it's going to be a big game. But why is this one of the most important RPGs to ever hit the Nintendo Switch? Well, it's simply because Atlus is extremely weird how they do things. And I think that the sales of their games, how things play out, and their old-fashioned / Sega business mind kind of gives them tunnel vision on exactly what they should be supporting and what they should be doing. Now, yes, the game is coming to Xbox as well, but also Microsoft did pay quite a bit for it to be on the Game Pass and everything like that. So there is that caveat in there. But I think the future support for Persona, or what's going to happen if nobody really swoops in and offers a large amount of money for exclusivity or whatever the case is, I think that it's actually going to gauge where Atlus and Sega decide to put their games with Persona. Now, if this game, Persona 5 Royal, does overwhelmingly well or incredibly well on the Nintendo Switch, and they make so much money to the point to where they can't ignore the large base of fans that are on the Nintendo platforms, I think we're going to see more Persona in the future on the Nintendo Switch and not have to wait 3-4 years or whatever the case is in order to play the game. Now, you also have to remember, back when Persona 5 was coming out, I completely understand the mindset. It was supposed to be a PlayStation 3 game. Obviously, it wasn't going to be a 3DS game. It wasn't going to be a Vita game. It wasn't going to be a Wii U game, considering how bad that system was selling in Japan at the time. I mean, the PlayStation 3 and then the PlayStation 4 after that made the most sense considering the state of the other systems with the Xbox One and also with the Wii U. That made complete sense for them to do that, so that's not the problem. I just wish they would have actually got it over to other systems, particularly with the Nintendo Switch, a bit sooner than that. I think it shouldn't have taken so long, but that's the past at this point. But I think that going forward, obviously Atlus is going to be closely monitoring these sales. Now, I don't think the PlayStation sales matter as much, because I feel that PlayStation is pretty much going to be the default system for Persona, considering the amount of fans and sales that they've already gotten on there. They rode with PlayStation for this long, and obviously Persona 5 Royal did extremely well across the PlayStation 4. PS3 version did terrible, but the PS4 version, people playing it backwards compatible on the PlayStation 5, those did really well. So I don't see Atlus, dropping support for PlayStation anytime soon. I think that going forward, it's obviously going to be, the next Persona is going to be on PlayStation 5. But I do feel that if this game does really well, that the Nintendo Switch version of the game, they will be able to greenlight a Switch version. Maybe not day and date, but much closer to the release of the next, version of the game, PS5, or if it's PS5, Xbox Series, PC, whatever the case is, right? So I feel that this is very important that people actually go out there and support that if you want to see more Persona on Switch, if you want to see them continue, and if you want to see them potentially even do new things within the Shin Megami Tensei, Persona, Soul Hackers type of franchises and brands on Nintendo platforms going forward. So I think that it's very important for this game to do well. Plus, the game is going to review extremely well. It's going to be one of those high-ranking RPGs. I don't see it getting underneath a 92 or 93 or so, even though it's old at this point. And I think that the added benefit, of course, of being portable is going to be a huge boon for many people out there. Of course, it's not going to have the same graphics as the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series version, and the frame rate probably isn't going to be 60 frames per second either with Persona 5 Royal. But I do feel, like I said, the portability is going to help out a bunch since it's a turn-based RPG. You're standing still most of the time, and people definitely want that experience with RPGs on the Nintendo Switch. So we've seen quite a number of turn-based strategy RPGs do extremely well and do 1 million, 2 million, 3 million units plus, and these series are nowhere near as popular or not as popular as Persona. So games like Xenoblade Chronicles, for example, Fire Emblem Three Houses, Bravely Default, Astral Chain, a lot of these games are multi-million sellers on the Nintendo Switch by itself without the popularity of Persona. So I do feel that yes, this game is already been out and a lot of people have already purchased it, but there's still more fans out there with the 100 million plus install base of the Nintendo Switch. They're going to be the first time that they're ever going to be able to play a Persona game with Persona 5 Royal on the Switch. So I think that this is going to be a big thing to see exactly how well it does. And it's interesting because this is more of the trolls that were doing this, not anybody of note. But one of the interesting things is that people said, oh, well, Persona 5 shouldn't come to Nintendo Switch because look at how Persona 5 Strikers did on the Switch, the day one sales, which is an action RPG, not the regular mainline Persona. And even though Atlus said, hey, look, we sold a lot of it, it was pretty good, they were happy, they announced the sales of it, people tried to sit there and interject and say, well, this is the reason why. Well, no, that's not either. But obviously you don't want a bad opening for the game to give any type of reason why Persona shouldn't continue, even though the game is multiple years old now at this point. So I think it's also going to be incredibly interesting to see how the game debuts. On the Japanese sales charts, what's the split between the PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch versions of the game? I'm guessing the Switch version will be the highest because the PS5 doesn't have the biggest base in Japan. So we're just talking about Japanese sales here. So the PS5 doesn't have the biggest base there, and there's all digital systems, so we're not going to get that on there. So I'm guessing Switch will have a really good debut and be the highest selling one in Japan, but we're going to have to wait and see for more information and exactly how Atlus says things go. But what do you guys think about Persona 5 Royal and its release on the Nintendo Switch later this year and its importance for the future of the franchise? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, moving on to the next topic here. We're going to be discussing Xenoblade Chronicles 3 sales and how this game is showing far more progress than what we saw with Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So it's a very interesting development here. Now, I've been tracking the sales for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 for quite some time now, and just because of the nature of the Nintendo Switch having a much higher install base now than when they did at any previous point when Xenoblade Chronicles has ever been around. So we're talking back on the Wii, the new Nintendo 3DS, the Wii U, the beginning of the Nintendo Switch's life. This is the peak for Xenoblade when it comes to sales potential, and that's definitely reflecting on the sales charts. Now, previously with Xenoblade games, especially from like the Wii U and on, they would pretty much kind of start slow. You wouldn't really see them pre-order wise up there high enough, and then they really peak in the first and second week. Maybe you see it at the top of the eShop charts for a bit, and then it goes all the way down, and it drops pretty, far with it. But what we're seeing here with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is we're seeing an eShop regulation or eShop flow that's been much better. Before the launch, it was #1 on the eShop. Also during the launch, #1 on the eShop, a week after, #1 on the eShop, and now only because a new popular game has came out, the Cult of Lamb game that came out $25 on the eShop right now, it dropped to #2. But what we're seeing is that the weekly sales are either 1 or 2 now at this point, and we're not seeing as far of a drop, and that's on top of the game debuting at the #1 spot in many areas when it comes to the overall sales charts. But if you're looking at it just Switch by itself, but if you're looking in just various different regions and everything, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has been one of the top performers, which is a good thing, and it's not dropping completely off the charts as soon as all the hardcore fans that love Xenoblade buy the game day one or in the first week or so. So that's definitely a very positive sign for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 sales. There was like the new charts, the Taiwan charts, where it was #1 on there. So anytime that I see like, hey, there's some good retention here, the charts are coming up, it's still in the top charts, it's still in the top 10, top 5, whatever the case is, that's going to be a good thing after launch, because it shows that new people are picking up the game. It's not just the hardcore fans that rush out there and buy it day one, but you're getting some of that 100 million install base, which is why it's so important to have a big install base. You're getting some of those people to pick up the game as well, because everybody who picks up this game isn't like me, who studies the lore and loves every single little ounce about Xenoblade and played all of the games and know everything about them. So it's really good to see that. And what we need to see going forward in the future is that continued support from the fans out there. I think that talking about the game, letting people know how good the game is, obviously the scores have been incredible. All of these things are going to affect the long-term sales of the game. One of the things that people don't realize, that don't look at sales a lot, is that Nintendo Switch is not like other systems when it comes down to it. It's not like other games. Everything isn't done in the first, week or two or first month. A lot of it is long-term sales. Fire Emblem Three Houses, it didn't get to 3 million in a month or two. It took a little bit less than a year to get that 3 million plus. Same thing with Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It didn't get to 2 million units in like a month or two. It sold over the course of multiple years as word of mouth, Pyra, Mythra, and Smash. So I think that with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, there's a reason why I talk about it so much, not only because it's an amazing game, but I know that there's new people that are going to get into the franchise if people keep on discussing it and letting other people know how good the game is. So what we're seeing here is exactly that. All the positive word of mouth, great reactions to the game, people talking about it, the relatively clear release month for the Nintendo Switch in August, and for gaming just in general in August. There's not a ton of major releases. We do have the Kirby game that's coming up. That's more of a smaller eShop title. So that's a very good thing for Xenoblade. I think they did a great job of pretty much swapping the release dates for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Splatoon. I think that if Splatoon came out first, then Xeno later, it's a bit too close to some of the other big games like Persona and Nier and Bayonetta, and it's after another large game where people are playing that. But if you do it before, it gives people something to play up until all of the great stuff. Then of course the residual sales will come in as more and more people just decide to try out the game or hear about it or watch a video on this channel or watch something else. So very good to hear. Still in the top sales charts pretty much around the world on multiple different boards. So very happy, and I'll continue to give you guys updates on the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 sales situation and anything else we do hear about what's going on in the future. So what do you guys think about the topics that we discussed here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.